Welcome everybody to another edition of TEW 2020 as it's time for the go-home show for WCW WrestleWar 2004. So let's get rolling for our pre-show matches. As first we got a women's 6-man 06-woman tag match. As in a pre-show match that had terrible wrestling, nonsense crowd heat. Again, that's just mean. Emi Sakura, Jordan Cole, and Angel Fox defeated Amber O'Neil, Lexi James, and Kill Kim in 12:28. When Angel Fox pinned Lexi James with an Angel Snap, this gets a 60. Again, pre-show match, gets some women on the show who don't have anything going on at the moment. Angel Fox gets a 55, Jordan Cole gets a 53, Jordan Cole gets a 49, the Ultimate gets a 63, Lexi James gets a 51, Amber O'Neil gets a 50, and yeah, just gets a quick, Angel Fox had to go over because she's involved in the three-way at WrestleWar, but otherwise just some, way to get some momentum time. But anyway, we move on to our next match on the pre-show, as basically in a fun match involving some people who don't have anything going on the actual show here. On the actual WrestleWar, we had a decent pre-show match. Jonathan Toro, Sean Stasiak, and Shane Douglas defeated Air Paris, Chishiri, and Chavo Guerrero in 15:10 when Shane Douglas pinned Air Paris with a belly-to-belly suplex. This gets a 71. Chavo Guerrero gets a 74. Again, he's principally getting more over just hanging out with Eddy, and I actually have plans for him, basically post the end of this current Eddy angle, but then we go. Chiro gets a 63, Eric Paris gets a 69, Shane Douglas gets an 83, Sean Stasiak gets a 57, and Jonathan Toro gets a 62. So fun stuff. But then we actually start the show as Ric Flair, Jeff Jarrett comes out first, and he basically goes, Slapnuts, there's so much to go over with Flair, and Flair can act like he's the victim here, but at the end of the day, it was Ric Flair always running things bit by bit here. I wanted to be on the Horseman so bad nearly a decade ago. But instead, he wanted two vanilla midgets who couldn't talk but were good little soldiers for Flair and helped him do whatever he wanted, along with his idiot buddy Mongo McMichael, while I was left to do nothing at all. And I was tossed aside and told to go back up north. But then I came back, and I realized I needed better backup. So that's what I did. And Flair hated me for it. Because I aligned with the men that he hated. But that's fine. Because remember, Flair, you never came to Memphis. You never came to my father's promotion because you were scared of people here like me who could have took that big gold belt off of you. So, comes down. Of course, that makes Flair comes down. He says, "Woo, Jeff, you still don't get it. I didn't come to Memphis not because I was scared of a king, who, as Lars like, yes he was, or you. I was scared that the payoff I was getting from your daddy wouldn't cover my spilt liquor. Ooh. Reality is, Jarrett, you ain't great. The reason you weren't a horseman is because those other men who aren't here anymore, but who I still respect, they knew what the job was in the horseman. Not everybody can be the man in the horseman. And even this new version of the horseman, the one so well, I realized that I'm getting just a little bit too old to be the man anymore, which is why I backed up Jarrett, but you wanted to be the man. You and Douglas. But I put you off the tag team. You were a great tag team, but that wasn't enough for you, was it? No, it wasn't. It really was that kid Palumbo more than me in one action last week when he got jumped in front of that guitar in the nearly 20 years I've known Jarrett. The Jarrett I said, look, you can put over all the men boys you want, but the Horsemen are dead and buried, Flair, and soon you'll be joining them. And so, Flair snaps back. It's, fine, Horsemen are done for now, but they're never truly dead. But reality is, the oldest ride is still the longest ride, Flair, Jarrett, and better men than you have tried, like Carly, Dusty, hell, Hogan. And they failed, because dimes are forever, and so is Ric Flair. And they're sort of a face-off, and there you go. As that hypes that big match at WrestleWar, which gets a 96. Good stuff. Then we go backstage for a quick little thing between Kanyon and Eddy and Guerrero because they're teaming up later tonight versus Deadpool. Kanyon basically, starts off, by trying to say, look, I know we had our problem. Then he stops and says, we're not going to be friends, okay? There's going to be no hand slaps, no handshakes. But you're a hell of a competitor. I know you dislike Deadpool as much as we do. And Kanyon says, well, he's better than Kanyon, but you beat me a couple times, so you're almost as good, man. So I'm glad to be your partner tonight, and we'll kick some ass. They sort of have a quick stare down and nod at each other, and Kanyon walks away. As is just a quick backstage thing, which gets a 68. Then it's time for our opening match, as in the match that was set up last week. A decent match. Jushin Liger, Rey Mysterio Jr., and AJ Styles draw with Ebony Sable, who is Jamie Noble's bodyguard, and Keenan Sharp and 10-1 following a double countout. So things just evolve, and eventually Keenan and Rey are outside, and as Jamie Noble is sort of screaming at Keenan to get him back inside, because, if it goes to a draw, he doesn't get back in the Cruiserweight match. But in the end, it counts to 10. Keenan and Rey fight, as, Liger and Rey sort of, point and laugh at Noble. Sable probably gets in some power spots and learns a little bit from the other side of the ring there. But in the end, it's a big double countout, as this gets an 81. Sal gets an 82. Rey Mysterio gets an 88. Jushin Liger gets a 74. Kenny Sharp gets a 67. Jamie Noble gets a 76. And Ebony Sable gets a 36. And the post-match, in a quick little segment, which gets a 59, Noble and Sharp argue, and Noble just sort of shrugs and walks away, as of course Noble is now shut out of WrestleWar. Which is unfortunate for him, as this gets a quick 59. Then we come back from commercial, as we're in the graveyard, and, Morningstar says, the message has been sent. Bischoff may think he can wreck the message by giving Vampiro a match against the Apple One, but the message is true, because after Sunday night, an enigma will be extinguished, the conspiracy will be proven untrue, and this monster Mesias will be revealed to be the one to knock Eduardo Guerrero off his mountaintop, because we will rule World Championship Wrestling once again. 94, really hot promo. As we move forward, backstage, we're basically, Air Paris walked in, where AJ and Liger are both, backstage, getting, some ice packs and such after the match, and, Air Paris basically says, AJ, you're my partner, but Liger, you're a legend, so I hope you both have a great match on Sunday. They both nod, and, Air Paris doesn't really have a partner anymore, but at least he's good buddies with AJ still, right? As this gets a 68. Then we have a big old 6-man tag as a triumvirate of Kidman, Lance Storm, and Mike Awesome defeat Conan, Fit Finley, and Dustin Rhodes, otherwise known as our old guys who don't have much to do anymore. In 7-7, when Awesome pinned Finley with an Awesome Splash, so just like, Kidman hits him with Kid Crusher, Awesome goes up top, hits the huge Awesome Splash, and there we go. And this gets a 65, just a basic squash for these guys. Like, Conan Conan basically hit as a little X Factor type thing, but that's about it. Awesome gets an 83, Storm gets a 71, Kevin gets an 85, Dustin gets a 61, Conan gets a 50, and Finley gets a 47. And then post-match, Goldberg makes his return, and just, because of course he's got, taken out by these guys, and he just goes wild, going after all of them, and, Goldberg, he takes the mic and says, Awesome, you're next. But then Bischoff comes in and says, wait just a second. Look, Bill, I understand you want Awesome, but that's what these guys want you. But you know what's more interesting? Awesome, you aren't getting a match at WrestleWar. But the match that'll be great is Bill Goldberg, a former world champion, the man, against a fast rising superstar who thinks his crap doesn't stink. Former US champion, a former tag team champion. And then that begins to freak out. Yes, you Kidman, you're getting that ring against Goldberg at WrestleWar. Crowd pops for that, as, the heels sort of freak out, but then they try to act like it's fine, as, basically Goldberg, Shurkin says, fine, I'll knock out Kidman, and then I'm coming for the rest of you. As we'll go ahead and pre-book that. And that's for sort of like the final match. As this gets an 87. Good stuff. Then we go backstage, during their promo, as we have, Jet and London kind of quick promos. They basically, they're ready to take on Reno and Cash and show them, that they have the backup, but we have the talent, and we're going to keep these tag titles off of Run's belt. And then Plumbo steps and says, Helms, remember, I was US champion before, I took it off from Manu being world champion Vampiro. So you think I'm scared of you just because you held the US title for a while? You've got another thing coming, man. And Flair comes in ready and says, sort of says to Plumbo, look, don't want to, you've got your own matches going on, you guys get your stuff later on, but I say to Chuck here, kid, I owe you one. Then he walks away. As this gets a 78, and we move forward to come back to commercial and a big showdown between Booker and RVD. Again, lots of sort of big sell drops for the pay-per-view. Not a ton of important matches, but RVD comes out and says, I still don't know what your problem is with me, man. Booker fights back. You were taking my spot, my money, my opportunity. Charlotte told me it all and laid it all for me. Anything I was taking from you, ran to fight back, because you got obsessed with Morningstar, dude. You won fall wrong. Instead of going after the title, which, Vamp still hold, Morningstar fooled you. He brought you into his grip and got you so involved in going after him and being his brand because you thought he was the leader that you allowed you to get distracted from the goal. That's on you, but man, not me. No, second. You wanted the title. After you failed being Kanyon, you moved yourself in that three-way for the number one championship. And after that failed, you fooled me and the team with you. And RBE just sort of looks over Booker T and says, and points at Sherman. Look, Sherman, I dealt with a lot of bitches in other places that I've worked. ECW reference pop, Sherman, you might be the queen bitch of them all. That leads Booker T go after him, big brawl, before WCW officials get between them, and there we go, 99. Really good promo. Then we have basically a quick segment where basically Cartier, Nikita Cole, Angel Fox all get to a quick, cut between minute promos. And, Cartier puts over the, fact, she's proud to be women's world champion. She'll take on anybody at any time and prove to the fans that she deserves this title. Angel Fox is like, I've been a foundation of this vision as it's been built, and I want my title back. And Nikita Cole says, ice is in my veins, and it doesn't matter who gets locked in, I'll make them tap out and take that title. 56, solid stuff. Not the greatest segment for the women, but still not too bad. Then in a pretty straightforward match, and about that great wrestling, decent range from the crowd, Jeff Hardy defeated Cass in 10:07 following a Swanton Bomb. 81, back and forth match. Hardy, it's a finisher. He gets an 86. Cass gets a 77. And yeah, again, Cass is another of those people who I need something to do, and hopefully I have sort of a long-term plan for him. But, nothing at the moment, unfortunately, even though he's a really good worker. Then Hardy basically cuts a really quick promo, which it's Jeff Hardy, so it's not great, which is why I get to 71. Basically, he puts over the fact that, yes, Morningstar can say all the spooky things he wants, but I'm willing to do whatever it takes to get the victory. So Morningstar, get ready for me at WrestleWar. And then during Borash catches King Sharp, and Borash asks him why he didn't help Noble, get into the three-way match, and he said Sharp fires back, why should I have helped Noble sneak his way in? Just because we were on the same team, just because the crowd dislikes the both of us? He's not my friend. He's not part of the way. I was focused on only one thing, proving the false mask that Rey Jr. wears behind his actual mask. Tonight was part of that path, when all should follow behind me, of course. In WrestleWar, it will end in me being United States champion in only a few weeks of me being here. 69, good promo, and we built that up. And then Jeff Jarrett is seen leaving the dressing room, but it's not quite sure which dressing room it is, as this gets a 73. And then it's time for another big six-man match to really build things up. As in a good match, Helms, Reno, and Cash defeat Palumbo, Jet, and London in 11:19 when Shane Helms pins Chuck Palumbo with a super kick. Okay, what happens here is Donkey just comes in, chokes sends hell out of Palumbo. Helms hits some sort of fourth senton, swanton, maybe top rope elbow, just to hit a move, and then gets the pinfall victory. As this gets an 80, Cash gets a 70, Reno gets a 64, Helms gets an 86, Lem gets an 85, Jet gets a 72, Palumbo gets an 82. Good stuff, and the heel celebrate afterwards to a 68. As the announcers put over, that Gante's might get involved in the match with Palumbo, and of course, Reno and Cash are really looking for those tag titles. And now, it's main event time. Yes. Okay. Great goddamn match. Just a absolute complete banger of a match here. As an exceptional match, Vampiro and Mesias defeats Kanyon and Eddy Guerrero in 1943 when Vampiro pins Kanyon, says legally for leverage. But what happens here is this is just an awesome match. Anytime Mesias is in the ring, he's just throwing around Kanyon. He's throwing around Eddy. Eddy's fighting back with his own brawling. Kanyon is able to, Kanyon, basically the big spot of the match is Kanyon. It's basically Kanyon hitting the STO, Kanyon hits the Kanyon cutter. Eddy Guerrero comes in, hits the three Migos on Mesias to a big crowd pop. Kanyon then hits the flatliner. Eddy hits the frog splash, and then Mesias still kicks out at 2.5. Big time. As the crowd pops, as just word over, if after all that Mesias still kicks out, then how the hell is Eddy going to survive? Eventually, things break down. Back in the ring, chair slipped in, nail in the coffin, on the chair on Kanyon, and Vampiro gets a pinfall victory. Mesias gets a 97, Eddy gets a 90, Kanyon gets a 94, Mesias gets a 92, Vampiro gets an 81, and that finishes the show out from 97. Huge show. And then, so this gets a 94, one of our best nitros ever, I think, which is really good. Honestly, let's be honest here, we put everybody good on the show. This was forget about anybody who's not a big star getting ready for a big, huge match. If you're not doing that, you're not on the show type of thing. Including, honestly, the women and some of the cruiserweights. Which is unfortunate, but, this is just really built. So this gets a 94. So we'll finish things out. So, again, if people remember, around SummerSlam and WrestleMania, I basically take control of WWE and booked basically the build-up and then the actual big show there. So what you'll see for Raw is my actual booking. As I'm building up sort of the matches, what I do. So, actually, let's just show you real quick that. So yeah, so I'll show real quick our email. So Nitro, yeah, guys, good rating. So, but looking at Raw real quick. So again, I'll just go over this for yourself. We had Cutting Head with Shawn Michaels setting up an AJ Michaels match for WrestleMania, which got in 100. We had Bump and Grind, which is the team of Rikishi and Val Venis defeating TNA. We had an Orton DDP Backstage Showdown setting up, basically they're having a match at WrestleMania for the IC title. We had Trish Stratus defeat Elizabeth Love in a quick squash, and then Trish challenging Molly Holly for the women's title. We had Randy Orton and DDP defeating the Dudley Boys, babyface, because they're both babyfaces and Orton being faced off. We had a McMahon family meeting, because I think I've gone over this before, but just if you don't remember, in the game, Triple H cheated on Stephanie, so they divorced, cheating breakup, and because this is WWE, that's been basically part of the storyline now, or at least when I've done it. So it's so the match is basically, so far, Shane McMahon and Triple H, because Shane, the game turned Shane heel, so that only makes sense that after getting his ass kicked by Triple H, that he, proved, better to be part of the winner. And so now he's, part of, with Triple H, and they're feuding with Vince, and since Vince can't wrestle, unfortunately, which I found out when I loaded up the game, it's basically going to be Big Show, and a partner that's still not known yet, versus Triple H and Shane at WrestleMania, and the loser of the fall leaves the WWE. And if either Big Show or the other partner gets pinned, Vince walks away from the WWE. Then it's Leviathan, also known as Batista, won a squash over D'Lo Brown. Then they did a promo, basically going over Kane. We had Angle. We had Austin, Rico, and Hall sharing some memories on the road. Because the world title match is Austin and Lesnar, mainly because Angle and Taker have been feuding in the game for forever. So I set that up as a WrestleMania match. And then we had Quick and Sexy, which is K-Quick and Grandmaster Sexy defeating the Radicals. And then we had Lesnar, Jericho, and Cornette, because remember, this was reality. Cornette is Lesnar's manager. And then in the main event, Lesnar and Jericho defeated Austin and Hall in a 77. One thing that's weird is it said that it advanced the storyline, but it said there was more storylines associated, which is weird. I'll just have to figure that out later. And then we had Triple H wiping out Vince and the Big Show to end the show to an 80, which got an 88 overall. So fun times. Then as we look at our storylines as we go up to the pay-per-view, Booker RVD is at an 89. The tag title is at an 80. Cruiserweight Fun is at a 73. Darkness Evolves is at a 97. Wow. A Horseman feud is at an 86. Tag Wars is at a 74. Columbo is at an 82. Goldberg vs. Triumvirate is at 74. Vampiro Morningstar Hardy is at an 85. Kanyon Ray is at a 75, and the women's title feud is at a 60. And again, and as a quick check, so we taped Saturday night, so this was being taped in Poughkeepsie, which again, if you don't remember, if you're a newer fan, that's where Raw was taped basically all the time in the 90s. So basically, we started with Miss Jones saying, let's get Raw, quote unquote. And we had Tajiri defeating Inferno in a squash with the WrestleWar Control Center. We had the Roman Legionnaires, which is Romeo and Swinger defeating Shane Ballard and Shane Ballard up for developmental. We had Miss Jones welcoming as basically legends Tito and Snuka. We had Eric Paris winning a squash. In the main event, we had Kip and Storm defeating Blitzkrieg and Yang, and basically just, main eventers coming down to the B show to win a squash, and then the heel celebrated. And then next week, which will be basically the go home, we had Ebony and Jamie showing up because they're pissed off for not doing anything for the pay-per-view and ruining sort of the Snuka Tito love fest and just attacking them and taking them all out. And then the Cat, of all people, made the save. We had Lucky James winning a squash over Becky Bayless up from Developmental. We had Kat and Miss Jones having an awkward meeting, and Kat agreeing to help Miss Jones out tonight versus JB Noble. We had Monty Brown winning a squash. We had Jonathan Toro defeating Chris Rambola up from Developmental to retain the TV title. And then we had the main event, Noble defeating Miller in a clean victory. Just because, Noble has nothing to do on pay-per-view, so at least give him one on Saturday night. And then if we go to our developmental feds, so first week we'll go to Wildside. In the weekly house show, and we had Claudio losing a match on the Dark Show. We had Marcus Miss Chiltech, which is a regen of John Phoenix, defeating Rage Inc., which is Tony Jones and Chance Profit. Sure. We had Jimmy Ray defeating Rick Michaels. We had Adam Jacobs defeating Chris Rambola. We had Shannon Beller defeating Rick Gordy on the undercard. We had Shane Ballard at Nonix defeating TNT and Simply Famous, retaining the tag titles. And we had Ray Lapin, who defeating Keith Walker in a cage match, retained the Georgia Junior Heavyweight title in a 65. And then in their TV, we had Tank Tolan, who is, of course, part of Developmental, lose to Jason Cross as part of the three-way in a 71. And Johnny Devine and Jimmy Rave teaming up to defeat John Phoenix and Marcus Militech in a 59. And yeah, other fun stuff. And then Claudio defeating Rick Gordy in a 63. And I think that's about it. And then, of course, as part of American Wrestling Queens, we had Miss Molly defeating Mischief in a 38. We had Malia Osaka and Tracy Brooks defeating Madison Sinclair and Tracy Rogers in a 42. We had Bonnie Maxon defeating Becky Bayless by DQ in a 46. Bonnie Maxon's almost ready. And then we had Natty Nutter and Team Agony, which I believe is Beth Phoenix and Vanessa Harding, defeating Allison Danger and Counterpunch. No, wait, hold on. Always forget who's Team Agony. Whoops, that's the titles. Teams were, yeah, there we go. Yeah, Team Aggie, okay, it's Beth Phoenix and Cheerleader Melissa. I'll need to figure out a better name for. Anyway. They defeated Allison Danger and Counterpunch, who's Ronnie Jonah and Vanessa Harding. And then in the main event, Social Machine ended the Anti-Authorities, which is Desire and Lacey's long tag title reign, defeating them in a 52. And yeah, that tag title reign had been going since, July. So basically a nearly 9-month title reign ended by Social Scene. We're one of our good newer tag champs, new titles. So that's it for now. I don't think there's anything else interesting going on. Again. So next up will be WrestleWar, but that's it for now. I'll talk to you later. But if you enjoyed this, go ahead and give it a like. Comment below on what you're enjoying and not enjoying. And subscribe to the channel. Relative TEW 2020 content, including this series, my WCW 1994 series, now heading out of Spring Stampede, my WWE 2013 series, which I've done some random generated rules to determine what actually need to happen. And of course, my MLW 2006 series now started with MLW Fusion. But that's it for now, so talk to you later, and adios. Have a good one.